What's your name and what do you make?
My name is Moni Kaur. I'm a visual artist, and I make paintings that represent abstract within a figure. And that figure for me is they're portraits, essentially.
Let's work. This is going to be extremely easy for me because right off the back, I love your work.
I
I
appreciate you,
want to
man.
say,
Thank
I look at hundreds of images every day, thousands for the week. And like there's certain images that actually just pop, especially when you're looking at this little 2 by 2 inch screen on Instagram. It's really hard to really stand out,
you. Yeah.
but like instantly, like the first post, just your composition, your little details that you have within these figures, as you call them, it's just so intricate and just makes you want to just dive in deeper, right? Like the first feel that I get from looking at your work is I wish I had a magnifying glass because I really want to get in and start dissecting these layers. And I can tell
Mhm.
you've been doing this forever, really. Like you have this way about your work where it looks 3D. It just looks like you can just peel things away. And that's really what captured me first. Like you say these are portraits supposed to be based off of a human figure or
Essentially, what they are is statue busts. So, like, imagine like a statue, kind of like figure sitting on a mantle. In this case, it's like it's near like a corner on a floor near a corner, having the shadow kind of move into that corner and up the wall, essentially giving it that 3D effect. And a lot of it was kind of like with the larger scale edge to edge paintings. That's kind of how it started after being a portrait artist, and then I fell in love with doing the abstract and behind the work. That took me to doing this mainly, doing murals of that vein. And then I was experimenting a bit more and trying to have a different kind of structure identity. And then I played with this idea of like, creating something. And it was only until I made the shadow that I realized like it then felt like a statued bust living in a space. And then that brought me to kind of reach back to my portrait ways and kind of combine the two and really lean into it in that kind of regard. You know what I mean? Lean into it and have it be this. Now my voice within it is creating these structures, which are heads, which brings me to, my old ways of creating, whereas like it was only portraits.
I found that most of my favorite abstract artists had a start with portraits for whatever reason. I feel like once you master
Mhm.
that portrait, then you can really just kind of dissect shapes and colors and dig into what your craft
Yeah.
ultimately is going to be. As much as I love the bust sculptures, I love your square canvas work just as much. It's those layers, right?
Mhm.
Because it takes from that 3D sculptural feel to now this just reminds me of like a New York City wall where you have advertisement pasted on advertisement,
Mhm.
graffiti, another advertisement, and somebody goes and
Yeah.
washes all those things away, and you can just see these layers just peeling off. You just capture that amazingly. On Instagram, it's just so hard for work like yours to shine through because we only have that limited little bit of space.
Mhm.
I would really love to see each one of these works dissected more and blown up so I can see what 2 by 2 inches looks
Yeah.
like, what 4 by 4 inches looks like, what the different textures
Mhm.
between the spray paint.
100%. And you giving me that advice definitely opened my eyes to like that being more of something and sharing it in that way, right? Because like I've always shared it as this like finished kind of this is how it would look kind of hung up. But I do love the idea of jumping in and showing different parts of it.
The real reason for
Yeah.
that is Instagram has become the gallery, right? So, of course, your work is going to look phenomenal on a
Mhm.
gallery wall, huge. But the reality is, Instagram is now the world's gallery. So, you do have to conform to Instagram standards in a way. You got to play the game whether you like it or not. You've somehow mastered how to keep
You have
that
to, absolutely.
balance of gallery greatness, but still also showing so exceptionally well within this little 4 by 4 inch square. So hats off. I
Mhm.
really, really love these works where it looks like you start
I
on
appreciate
one
that.
large canvas and then you kind of dissect those down and you kind of do what we just discussed,
Yeah.
which is you cut them in squares and you make smaller works out of the larger work, right?
It's creating that composition and then choosing, it's giving it more life outside of what I've already kind of created. And that was an idea and like something I decided to kind of experiment with. And that's one of those things. It's like we have these ideas and things we want to do. Usually, more times than not, we should always act upon those ideas. Like that execution turned out exactly how I imagined it to. I mean, even better than how I imagined it.
I see you love the grayscales, playing with the blacks and whites. Is that, you would say, the majority of your practice? I see you also flip it and you add a bunch of color. So what do you enjoy painting more?
That's like a battle I've always kind of jumped between, right? Like I mess with compositions where the color palette is very vibrant and bright, and then I think think I always long for a more timeless kind of like classic grayscale. Then I always have to jump back into messing with the colors, and I have to. It's always back and forth. I think I'm more drawn to doing the grayscale work, like the softer, more kind of like grayscale work. I think that's kind of where I feel like that's more dialed in. That work of mine's more dialed in.
This is my favorite piece of yours, which I think I'd probably say out of all your works, that right there in the middle balance of gray versus color. My favorite work that I've seen of yours right here. And like I said, it's that
Yeah.
50-50 gray, you know, and then you got that color that just pops, and the composition for whatever reason just works so well with this painting. What is this, a little smaller artwork within the canvas?
So that's like one of the paper pieces that I then adhere into the works. Yes, correctly. That would have been kind of like one of these paper pieces.
Okay.
That I then choose to then adhere in the work. So like a lot of my work also has a lot of like wheat pasted. I do wheat paste a lot of things in my work, and these are always kind of studies that I create before actually applying to the canvas. And then sometimes I hold on to them, sometimes I sell them individually, and sometimes I include them in my work as like a way of breaking up the composition.
Love it. I was going to add too, equally, as much as I love these paintings as they are, I feel like you know that because there is a certain childlike flow to it, but people who don't know what they're talking about would say, oh, well, my 3-year-old could do that or whatever, right? But the way that you actually frame artwork and you give it that extra little taste of expensive, right? Like, you know what you're doing, right? You like, because I see a lot of your works do come in the frames, and you could have just left that as raw canvas, but you chose to make it look that much more luxe. And I think it was such a genius idea to do, because it goes from looking like something that potentially, and I don't think so, that a child could do, but to now this is something that belongs in a museum, or it's a very
100%,
substantial piece.
because the structure has so much chaos and like destruction, really, like some of them that are quite kind of like, you know, that are a bit raw. Adding that bit of that clean kind of like frame to it definitely tightens it up. It's like, I mean, it's like a car with like rims, like a good a nice set of like wheels on it, kind of thing. It kind of finesses it that much more, and it allows those who don't necessarily know the art or know like collect in that way, because like some collectors prefer like a nice kind of like raw edge. If you're framing it in a canvas that isn't taking away from the work, it always just adds something to it. The raw thin frame that I use, it's not like thick, it's not loud, it's not, you know, it's not a black frame or a white frame or like any other color frame. Having it be raw, it just kind of like gives it kind of structure, right? And gives it that clean kind of like the side to it.
This piece right here, you see, it's in the same zone as that first piece that was my
This
first
one I
favorite.
love. This one I loved a lot more. This one was like a groundbreaking piece for me in terms of like it changed the way I kind of like mess with the shadows, because like, you know, giving it that tiny lip underneath with that shadow, and having it not necessarily be a completely full canvas of my work, but giving it something that makes it stand out. This one is something I look forward to kind of exploring more in the future. For sure.
Out of everything that I've seen, these are the ones that would hang on my wall. These are the ones that I want to see a small version. I want to see a 12-foot version. Like, whatever you have going on in this zone right here, it's just, you just mastered that grayscale with the color pop, and the composition just works perfect in my eyes. So, you know, a lot of times I look at work on Instagram or in the world in general, and some of it I love. I wouldn't necessarily put it in my house, right? But these works, particular, that last one and this one, these are works that I want front center stage in the main room, large scale.
I'm getting ready for this art festival in March, but after this body of work, the idea is going to be to go back and explore that body of work for sure.
Well, I'm excited to see it, and I'm going back. I see the progression. I enjoy where they came from, but I love where they're going.
Thank you for allowing my stuff to be shown on your page and stuff, and everything you've kind of put together and built is it's very impressive. And again, thank you.